Welcome back to part 2. Let's get straight back into it. Opportunities, like the first Ferrari I bought, for example, were funded by an investment I made in a storage unit in Austin, Texas. I don't have the Ferrari anymore, but that storage unit is still raking in cash today. That's what really matters. It all comes down to your mindset and discipline. The big question is, can you keep your focus and tune out what others say? The truth is simple, your assets need to be able to cover your liabilities. If you don't stick to that rule, you'll end up trapped in an endless cycle of debt and financial worries. Many people flaunt luxury homes and expensive cars, but in reality, they're broke. They keep up a facade of wealth but don't invest in assets that can support them in the long run. The issue is that this mindset is spreading more and more, contributing to increasing inequality. The middle class is vanishing, and the gap between the rich and the poor is becoming more extreme, which could lead to even more serious consequences down the line. The problem with schools is that they focus on teaching theories and ideologies that don't prepare anyone for dealing with real money. Personal finance education gets overlooked, and people graduate without understanding how to build wealth. That's why it's crucial to seek out financial education on your own. If you don't learn how to handle money and investments, you'll spend your whole life just going with the flow without ever achieving true financial freedom. So, never stop looking for knowledge about it, how to create assets and invest your money smartly. This is the way to ensure that in the future you have security and comfort without living above your means or falling into debt. Instead, you'll be building solid wealth that keeps growing and paying off over time. Young parents and even older people like me need to invest in their financial knowledge and learn how to make their assets cover their expenses. If you really want to change your mindset about money and finance, a great starting point is the board game Cash Flow, which I created with my wife in 1996, well before the release of the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. We were inspired by Maria Montessori, a great educator and the founder of the Montessori method, who said, "What the hand does, the mind remembers." This phrase was the foundation for our idea of teaching finance in a hands-on and fun way. I learned a lot about money playing Monopoly, a red hotel. Now I actually own a lot of red hotels, but for real. While a lot of people were spending their time and money on MBAs and walking away with nothing useful on how to manage their finances, I was playing and developing skills that led me to success. The game Cash Flow was designed just to teach finance in an engaging way, challenging your mind while you learn to play the game of life. The big difference between Cash Flow and Monopoly is that it introduces the financial statement, a crucial concept that every banker wants you to know. My bank manager has never asked for my report card, just my financial statement. Speaking of which, have you seen my Bentley? Its plate says 1.9 GPA, a nod to my not-so-great grades. But you know what? That's never held me back. Even though I wasn't a top student, I'm great with finances, and in the end, that's what really matters. My banker isn't worried about my grades, he wants to see my assets, my liabilities, and how I'm making my money work for me. What about you? What you need to realize is that it doesn't matter if you weren't the best student or if you never got top grades. What really changes your financial life is learning how to build assets that cover your expenses. With this mindset, you can create a much safer and more prosperous life without being a prisoner of a system that never taught you how to handle real money. And I get what you might be thinking right now, are you saying that school doesn't matter and that grades don't matter? I get where this doubt is coming from because ever since we were kids, we've been taught that formal education is the only path to success. But the financial reality doesn't follow that script, and that's where a lot of people get lost, spending years studying but never really learning how to manage their own money. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against studying, formal education definitely has its value. But the truth is, it doesn't teach you the practical skills you need to be financially successful. Like I said, my bank, he never asked me for a report card, he always wanted my financial statement. In the business and finance world, what really matters is the results you produce and your ability to create assets and manage your money strategically. That's what will determine your success. When we talk about education, we often mean what's taught in schools, but the education system as a whole is outdated and just focuses on prepping people for a job. It doesn't really teach much, how to create your own income stream or build real wealth. School's not gonna teach you how to invest, spot good business opportunities, or understand how an asset works. You have to figure that out on your own. I'm not saying you need to be a genius or have an elite education to achieve financial freedom, no. What you really need is the right mindset and discipline. You have to get that money should be working for you, not the other way around. Once you start seeing the world of finances can spot opportunities everywhere. There are assets available to you in different forms, real estate, stocks, companies, and even business ideas that could be the building blocks of your wealth. The trick is learning to identify these opportunities and use them to your advantage. I get that a lot of people are scared to take the first step, worried about investing and making financial mistakes, but messing up is part of the process. There's no one who's financially successful that hasn't made mistakes. What matters is learn from them, tweak your strategy, and keep moving forward. Don't be afraid to try or start small. The key is to begin and keep going because time will pass regardless. If you don't take action, you'll look back later and realize you missed the chance to build something big. But if you start today, even if it's just a small step, you'll be way ahead of most people. When I mention making your assets cover your liabilities, I'm talking about a mindset shift. This goes way beyond just understanding the concept of money. It's about learning how to use your money to make more money. It's about building passive income streams that work for you even when you're not working. That's the path to true financial freedom. For example, if you own a house but it doesn't bring in any income, it's a liability. Unless you're renting it out or have some other source of revenue from it, that house is just draining your money every month. Mortgage, maintenance, taxes. Now, if you decide to turn it into an asset by renting it out, for example, that same house that was once a financial burden becomes a source of passive income. This income can help pay the bills, invest more, and build wealth. And don't be fooled, rich people know this. They don't buy luxury goods just to show off their status. They invest in assets, buy businesses, real estate, stocks. These assets make them more money. The rich and the poor don't differ by what they have, but by what their possessions do for them. I know this idea can be tough to swallow at first. Most people grow up hearing that debt is bad and that the only way to go is to cut expenses and live on as little as possible. But the truth is, you need assets to build wealth, and it's those assets that will support your financial life over time. It's not about living below your means, it's about learning how to make your money work for yourself, and when you get that, you're on the right track to a financially free life where you call the shots instead of being at the mercy of the traditional financial system, which often keeps people stuck in poverty. I learned this lesson in a way that nobody taught me, and now I'm passing it on to you. Don't cling to old beliefs about money, and don't be afraid to try something new. If you want to change your life, the first step is to change your mindset. Start looking at your liabilities and ask yourself how you can turn them into assets. Over time, you'll realize that instead of being a slave to money, you'll learn to master it. Always remember, what you do with your money today shapes your financial future. Don't worry about appearances. Invest in assets, invest in your knowledge, and invest in your financial skills. Because in the end, what really matters isn't what you have right now, but what you can build and maintain over time. If you keep going down this path, you'll realize that true freedom isn't about scarcity, but about the abundance of opportunities you create for yourself. That's how you achieve real wealth. If you've made it this far, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any content like this. Check out the videos popping up on the screen, they'll help you take another step towards your financial freedom.